Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Williams. In 2023, I had a solar panel system installed on the roof of my house. Many of my friends and acquaintances have asked me about my experience, and I decided to record this video to share about my journey, my reasons for doing it, the buying and installation process, and how it's working out. I started looking into solar several years ago, but initially I wasn't convinced that it was cost effective. In where they were at that time. Over the years, they made some improvements and became more efficient. I've always liked the concept of solar electricity. I live in Florida, the Sunshine State, and the sun shines bright here almost every day, and there's no middleman to tax or control it. And also, my house faces nearly due north, and the back roof line faces nearly due south, and I have a 612 pitch on my roof, which is the right angle to catch the solar rays both in the summer and in the winter. So I felt like my situation was really ideal for solar. If it would work anywhere, it should work for me. And like I said, when I was looking into it, it just didn't make financial sense. And when I say I'm interested in green energy, what I mean is I wanted to save me some green money. A couple of years later, I looked into it again, and the economics of it had improved, but the electricity was still relatively inexpensive, and just I didn't pull the trigger on it. Then in 2020, I looked into it again, and the efficiency had improved to the point where it made some economic sense, and I got a quote from a couple of companies, and they had good prices, but when I looked at their reviews, I was very disappointed. Many of the solar companies in the marketplace today are just sales companies, and uh, they don't do the installation. They contract that part of it out. And after the sale and the installation, and you have an issue, now you've got two companies pointing fingers at one another, blaming the other party involved. And as a result, nothing gets resolved, and now you have a electric bill as you did before, and you also have the investment into the solar panels that you've got to either pay for or already have paid for. So I didn't. I just put the brakes on it again, and finally, last year, 2023, uh, I looked at it again. I was on, I'm on Duke Power, and I got a letter in the mail that said you're on average billing, and because of the rate increase, your uh, average monthly bill is going to increase from $185 to $235 a month. And that gave me some additional motivation to look at it. So I started looking into it again, and got a quote from two different companies. And one of them really stood out to me with their responsiveness to my questions, and I had a lot of them. And they were very accommodating, and they provided a point of contact for any questions or concerns during the installation process. And they were also the sales and the installation company, and they were very easy to work with. My wife and I discussed the idea and the proposal that they gave us, and we decided to pull the trigger. We signed the contract in late April. The equipment was ordered and delivered to my house around the 1st of July. And July was really a terribly wet month, and getting a date scheduled that was dry enough to do the installation for them to be able to work on the roof, on a metal roof, was a challenge. But finally, the installation was completed by the end of July. We received the local building department approval the end of July, 1st of August, and mid-August, we received Duke Energy's clearance to generate, which allowed us to turn the system on. Now, my system was designed to generate enough electricity over a year to cover my current annual kilowatt hour usage without any on-site battery storage. There's essentially two systems that you have to choose from. One is a solar tied system, which is what I have, and the other is an off-grid system, or a grid tied or off-grid system. The off-grid system uses battery storage or power wall. Some terminology would be used to name it, but essentially you store up the energy that you use or that you generate during the day, and then the extra energy, and then you use that energy at night when you're not generating it on your through your power solar panels. um, Duke's uh, um, net metering policy is a pretty favorable net metering policy, so we didn't have to do that. They actually buy the power from us that we generate during the day, and then we draw it back when we're not generating power. At the end of the month, if we've produced more than we have used, then they store it and put those credits in our net metering bank for us to draw on in the future, up to 12 months. So it's a pretty favorable policy, and so it didn't make sense to get the battery backup system at that extra expense. Um, every utility's net metering policy is different, so you need to know what that is in deciding how to the system. And it does have a $30 monthly fee to be connected to their system, regardless of if you use any power or not. Having that power available is there for that. Uh, is that what that $30 fee is for? Uh, and so after I account for that, um, I knew I was going to have that regardless. And so after you account for my solar panel purchase and I opted to finance it, so I'm just swapping an electric bill or solar payment bill for an electric bill. Uh, I'm saving about $30 a month uh, after calculating in that $30 fee. Um, Not a huge savings, but I've locked in the cost of the kilowatt hours of electricity that I have been using. So future rate increases won't impact me. So essentially, the solar panel system, is a hedge against future rate increases in my situation. Well, how's it working out? Well, let's take a look at that and see. As I said, it was mid-August when we started generating power, and we were on the average billing plan or the budget billing plan, where they average your uh, your power bill out over the 12 months. And so I had to get off of that and square up the balance I owed on that because we were in the middle of the summer and I'd been in a high use time. So I was a little behind from that standpoint. After that, we started 1st of September. This is the September bill that we're looking at. And on August 31st, we had a hurricane. We were without power for 6 days. And so the one thing about a grid tied system, when you lose power, you also lose your solar. It does not generate, or it generates, but you don't have access to utilize the solar power when your grid power is down. That's a safety feature, so it doesn't backfeed into their system and hurt somebody. So um, with the off grid, you do have it because it's off grid, right? So that's the downside of that. So not only did I not use any power from Duke then, I also did not get the benefits of those sunshiny days generating power. Um, so that was a loss. But you see here, my September bill was $50.91, and in September of 2022, if you look here in the bottom of the screen, we use 1,673 kilowatt hours of electricity. Uh, Here in September of 2023, we used 239 kilowatt hours of electricity. So it was dramatically different year to year. If you look at November, which is a true full month, uh, I'm sorry, October, um, bill was $30.79, just pretty much exactly what we were expecting it to be. Um, our kilowatt hour usage in October of 22 was 999 kilowatt hours. In 23, we used zero, plus we generated 274 more kilowatt hours than we consumed that was placed in our net metering bank, so to speak, to draw on future months. So that's good to have. As we look at November, still $30.79. And then last year, or November of 22, and we used 897 kilowatt hours. In 23, we used zero, but we did draw 64 kilowatt hours out of our net metering bank. Uh, so that kept us from having to pay any increase in the bill over the basic amount. In December, they had a short billing cycle for some reason, 25 days instead of 30 days. But our bill was only $25.66 because of the shortness of the billing cycle. And see, in 22, in December, we used 1,378 kilowatt hours. And then in 23, we used zero, but we did pull 40 more kilowatt hours out of our net metering bank. So it's working as it was expected to, and we're pleased with it so far. We'll continue to monitor it going forward. If you would like to, if you're interested in more information about getting in contact with the folks that I work with, they were a great company to work with, very responsive. Uh, like I said, had a single point of contact after the sale to contact about anything to do with the installation or whatnot. There's a link in the description below where you can just fill the form with your contact information and it'll automatically return it to me, and I'll get you hooked up. Also, if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments. I'll be glad to address them to the best I can. I'm not a solar salesperson or anything like that, so I don't know all the technical details, but I know what's worked for me. And if you'd like to see more information about things to look for, questions to ask, those kinds of things, make a note of that in the comments, and I may follow it up with another video. Alrighty. Thanks for your time.